Hello and welcome back. My name is Tuxedo Ian, and we are getting back into our playthrough of Book of Hours. This will be video number 11 in the series, and as we finished up last time, we opened up a couple new rooms, and we got some more books and skills available to us. So we're going to dive right back into it. It is autumn, and let's see what we can get done today. Alright, so we have our first step into the Motley Tower. We also managed to open up the pantry and the well. So let's see what we have. We have some rain to work with today, so that gives us some more, some grail and nectar. To go up the next floor on the Motley Tower, we would need moth or heart, so that would be a job for Mrs. Kill. This would be a job for Mrs. Kill or for Denzel. Over here, that would be for Reverend Timothy. This we could use Denzel or Mr. Kill for. This room, we would need some specialized help for that. We might have to wait until winter to get the 5 moon, so we can get some help from our seasonal employees. This one, we would probably need Mrs. Kill's help to get to 6 heart, the 6 rose, and 6 sky. We could probably get to those, but they'd be a little more difficult. Again, 6 sky and 6 heart, most likely for Mrs. Kill. 6 sky would be possible, but it would be a little harder going. 8 heart or 8 rose, again, a little bit harder to get that 8 rose. We could get there, but we'd have to do a little finagling to do it, so we'd probably use Mrs. Kill for that. 9 nectar or 9 grail here, so I think what we're going to do is we are going to focus today on this. We are going to let's see, we can get the Orchard Keeper for a shilling and use, so she would come with 2. The rain would give us 2 more. Our health would give us 5. We have a dandelion wine would bring her to 7. And the knife would bring her up to 9. So we will go ahead and get started on that. So we will hire an Orchard Keeper. In autumn, the Orchard Keepers come to sell their wares at Brankrug. A shilling will buy one's help. Orchard Keepers offer nectar and a little heart. And we will get started talking to her by talking to her about the weather. More useful than one might expect, especially in Britain. The influences of the turning skies can boost an assistant's abilities for the rest of the day. And while that is going, we have an offer from Oriflammes. Oriflammes, established 1776. Sense, Signs, Sciences. Dear Librarian, we would like to offer you this opportunity to purchase the Mirror of Melacanth, the daybook and dream journal of Abbess Melanch, venerated as a saint and respected as an alchemist. It would cost us 4 tally, has a mystery of 12 sky, and it would teach us more about sights and sensations. Well, we do have that, so we can go ahead and throw our gold spintria in here. Occult treasures are purchased with occult coins, spintriae. Gold spintriae display scenes that are not visible to mortal eyes on their reverse side. Oriflammes thanks you for your custom, so we'll get 1 in change from that, which will add it back to our iron spintria here and give us a bronze. Alright, so we've got the Orchard Keeper. And I think today we're also going to work and see if we can get this Sun's Lament and get us a new skill of Ragged Crossroads. So we would need 4 edge. Well, this knife would give us 1 edge. And we have, well, actually, we don't need the knife at all because we have Auroral Contemplations. So what we can do, we'll just throw that into there. Add Auroral Contemplations and add our metal, which will allow me to master this mystery. And let's see if there's anything else I have that would be easily readable with what I have. I have this Occult Scrap, which gives me Knock, Moth, and Rose. That's Sky. That's Scale. Sky, we've already read that one. This one will probably be the next one we read, and it'll give us Disciplines of the Hammer. Moth. forge. We do need some forge. If we could get a forge memory, we might be able to read that one. Let's look in our red books here and see if we have forge. So that gives us one forge. Do we have something that gives us remembrance? Not that I'm seeing. Plenty to give us reflection, though. But that's good. That's... Alright, so let's see what else do we have here. That one, no, not that one. 12 edge, that's beyond us. 6 edge, slightly beyond us. 14 moon, way beyond us. 10 moon, in vac, we don't have that. 6, we don't have that. 6 sky, we have 2, we have 3, 4. Well, we could get there. Yes, we could. So, actually, what we're going to do, we will grab, let's see, where was our confounding parable book? Ah, there it is. Okay, so the confounding parable would give us 2 moon, 2 sky, and 2 rose. So we'll throw that in here, and we can use our shaft to read that. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Speed time up just a little bit to get things done a little faster. Take advantage of the weather while it lasts. And then we'll hand her the knife to work with. This will bring her up to 6. And we can give her the last bit of this dandelion wine to bring her to 8. And we have finished rereading 108, so we can get our confounding parable, and then we can use that to read on resonance. So we need a desk that takes sky, which this one does. We could also read Fallen Cross, which would give us Oronoscopy. This one will give us Bells and Brasseries. Actually, I think Oronoscopy might be the more useful play there. Besides, we can always read both of them. We just need to refresh our Faust. And as you can see, Sky Stories with 5 sky gives us Wistful Airs. But we don't need that right now, but we can add this armillary and get Sky Harmony. I can master this mystery. So we'll get started on that. Down to the Grishans. And let's see, we need 1 more nectar. Do we need to use our health, or is there something else we can give her that would give her 1 nectar? Well, we could give her this bunch of grapes. Offer something to eat. I can offer my assistant something to eat. This will increase their aspects. It's also just friendly. That lets us keep the health and use it to... Well, we are about to open a garden, so we'll probably need our health for harvesting something in there. And we have finished reading The Sun's Lament, the first volume of the Meditations of Abbot Thomas of the Abbey of the Black Dove. The thorn-beaked crows took my eyes from me in justice for my crimes, but though I lost my sight, I found my light. Abbot Thomas speaks of the breaking of his oaths to his sword brother Tryggv, and to the Lord of Scars that he served before he came to the abbey. He writes of the power of oath bonds and considers the means and morality of their sundering. We have learned Ragged Crossroads, and we gained Memory Fear. So we will pop that back in and mark it with Memory Fear to remind us that that's what it gives. And again, a reminder, that is a mod that I have installed that allows you to do that. It is not part of the base game, but it is a very handy little trick you can use. And then we will acquire Ragged Crossroads. And while that's working, let's see, is there anything we can do with this memory fear? We have that other scale book. Yes, we do. So, what we can do, we can bring this over here to our scale desk. And this we can use our health, which is why I didn't want to quite use it with the Orchard Keeper. So let's see, we have Coil and Chasm gives us 2. Pentiments and Precursors gives us 2. Wolf Stories gives us 1. So we can add that. And we need to find one more somewhere. Oh, we have... So let's see, we need... Do we have anything that can give us scale we can pop into there? Or are we just going to have to wait for opportunity? Looks... Well, we could use the... No, so what we'll do, we will wait for opportunities, because we should be able to get one at least. And then while that is processing, we will come over here with one of our core, and we will read a book that does give us a memory fear, so that we can pop that in if it gives us the option to use a memory. Otherwise, if it gives us wall art or thing, we should be able to get it done. Alright, this sustenance has boosted their aspects appropriately. So now... While we have her, we will talk to her once and see if she can give us any useful memory. And then we can get her working on the kitchen garden. We've learned Ragged Crossroads to understand why 4 paths were not taken. This can be assigned to Illumination or Scolacosophy, and it has 2 Edge and 1 Winter. Quite a lot of Winter skills we're getting, but we'll find some use for them, I'm sure. Solace. Might be useful. We can talk with her again. Let's see, do we have anything heart-related we need to read? We do, actually. We have this Flayed Tantra, which is 8 heart. So that would be 2, 4... 5, 6 with the bowls, and we could use another solace to get to 8. So that's a possibility. Yeah, so we'll hold on to that. As soon as this book finishes reading, we'll start another book. And Oriflammes thanks you for your custom. So we now have the Mirror of Melanth. We can pop that onto our to-read shelves. And collect our change, which gives us, as I said, a bronze Spintria back. And we have finished reading The Fallen Cross, in which Julian Costley, Magus Immortal Occasional Anarchist, argues that through language, the Carapace Cross decayed to seed the lives of our ancestors. Speech is a wound, silence is silver. There is no silver door, nor can there be, even in the moon's house. Without language, there can be no words. Without words, there can be no message. But only in silence can there be no error. And lo, even in that beginning, in that first of messages, an error. Thus did we enter the house. Gives us a memory of regret and a lesson on oronoscopy. So we will go back and grab that and mark it with memory regret. And pop it onto our red shelves. So that brings us to... Oh, we're getting closer to being able to read the White Book of Brittany, but not quite close enough yet. Because that would be 4, 6... 8. We need 10. We would need another memory, or we'd have to use the knife, would get us to 9. But we have several things we're going to need the knife for here, so we've also finished rereading this one and regathered our memory of fear. So the opportunities we've been given for this are a thing or extra effort soul. So we have several things we can put in that would have scale on them. So let's find one. So this is a thing right here with scale. This bust of Walter de Wolf. We don't have any more soul cards that give us, so we'll have to pass on. We'll have to wait for it to get there. Okay, she's given us some gossip. So I think it's time we go ahead and put her to use and start unlocking the kitchen garden. This place has been surrendered to wind and weed. Bees buzz menacingly. Somewhere something clucks plaintively. And we will work on gathering Oronoscopy, which is another moon and sky skill. Another aspect of the soul it's asking for, which we don't have. And a thing. So we can add this bust of Walter de Wolf, which brings us to 6 scale. We can fiddle with something. And we have finished reading Singlefoot Songs. Father Stanislav Jean Schaller, priest and diplomat, writes of his time on the slopes of Halashan, near to the grove of green immortals, but never too near. Schaller's relations with the grove are cautious. It's a library of the tree, but under the hand of the hour named Applebright. In time, however, Schaller comes to be more sympathetic to the Applebright, which he suggests causes harm only when so invited. The Singlefoots of the title are one-horned, one-footed hill things with sweet but powerful voices, powerful enough to open the mountain. The Singlefoots sometimes trample pilgrims, sometimes heal them, sometimes coerce them to enter the mountain and become Singlefoots. Schaller explains that when he found this last becoming too tempting, he decided to return to his homeland. That has given us a Savage Hymn, a rather useful little memory because it gives us 2 scale and 2 sky. And we have learned the lessons of Hill and Hollow. So we will mark this book with the Savage Hymn and put it back into our library over here to remind us it goes on one of these small shelves here. And we have acquired Oronoscopy. Consider the star. Hath each star its 7 names. Observe that these names are never shared. Thomas de Wolf. 2 sky, 1 moon can be assigned to Horomachistry or to Hushery. And we will now learn Hill and Hollow. And since this desk is now free, we can come in here, we can grab our copy of the Flayed Tantra, add our core, our memory solace, and Magaphine Mysteries is our only heart skill so far, so we can use that, which gets us to 5. And then I think the only tool we have is the kitchen bowls, which gives us to 6. So we will begin that, and then we will come over here, and we have our whist we can use to read a book that gives us solace, which will be Orchid Transfiguration's Noon, which will give us the last 2 heart that we need to finish reading that, as long as it gives us the option for using a memory. I'm sure we have some heart items around here somewhere. Kitchen garden is now unlocked. We have a garden nourishing vegetables in summer and autumn, another garden, same thing, and a third. And a garden, the gentle climate of Cornwall supports grapevines we can harvest from the spring and summer. We also have 2 chickens. Terence, the chicken. Was this magnificent and indomitable beast named for the rector's indomitable and magnificent housekeeper? Best not to inquire too closely. Has 3 scale and some sky. And Tuppence, the other chicken. Tuppence's most noble quality, as all observers will agree, is that she is not Terence. She has 2 scale and 1 sky. And we can use these to get more eggs when we start needing eggs for various things. And we also have a beehive. Bees, like librarians, are not to be trifled with. We would need something with either nectar or scale, and a skill with nectar or scale, or something from related to the Librarian. I'm sure we'll find out what that means later. And we have 2 new rooms that have become available to us. We have the Wounded Room. Blood drips from wet-edged cracks in the ceiling here, pooling on the floor. Another rage-filled presence that I could use help to lay. 8 heart or 8 knock, so that's going to be a job for either Mrs. Kill or for Reverend Timothy. And an infested wine cellar. Something much bigger layered here. The walls and ceiling are smeared with its slimes. It's gone, but its children remain, wriggling in every shadow. We'll have to clear, lure, or drive them out. We would need 10 moth or 10 grail, so that's going to be for Mrs. Kill, or somebody that we can boost to quite a bit of moth, which would be the barbers during summer, so we might have to wait for next summer if we're going to use them. Let's see, we don't have enough time to power up a new helper to get through any of these. So let's see what we can do. We have a Trist and a Fet left. So we can use the Trist to catalog this last uncatalogued solar book. The book was written in the Hush House's Solar Gothic period between the 1000s and 1500s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Books from this period are occasionally contaminated. And then once the consider verb is free and done with Hill and Hollow, I can start cataloging one of these Dawn books. Hill and Hollow, 2 moon, 1 scale. The ways of the hill children and the gods from stone. Old paths, old secrets, the songs that still echo beneath the earth. We can assign this to either birdsong or to preservation, and this skill is effective against infestations. So if we ever find a book that has an infestation of some sort, we can use Hill and Hollow along with a proper amount of whatever aspect to cure that infestation. And so now we will grab one of these Dawn books and use our Fet to catalog it and see what it is. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Dawn period, sometime before the end of the first millennium, commonly reckoned. If I examine it, I learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Books from this period are sometimes contaminated. And the other books we've cataloged, we have cataloged Nin's Cages, Avignon text. It is a Heart 16 mystery, so that's going to be quite a ways away. It will give us the knowledge of quenchings and quellings, arch which quench fires and bring solace to troubled mind. A true adept is never troubled by fire, nor by fever, nor by restless spirit, so saith Ambrose Westcott. And this book is also written in an elegant language known as Ericapean, which we do not currently speak or read, so we will have to find someone to teach us how to do that. So for now, we'll grab this. And we can toss this next to our Kilisimi books because they are all equally unreadable at the moment. And we have Gain Another Memory Solace from reading that one. And let's see. So our options here are to add another piece of soul or to add a memory. So good. We have the solace we can use to add to this. Make sure there's nothing else running that I've forgotten about. And we have cataloged the Iron Book, a manual of the Ordo Limae, an order of quasi-immortals who maintained a secret enclave at the source of the river Limia in the Roman province of Hispania Galicia. This manual was compiled by one Marile Yivni, who claims to have traveled to join the Ordo from the crossroads of the waters. It is 8-edge, so not too complex, but it is written in a dry language known as Fusine, one that we cannot yet read. It will also give us knowledge of the disciplines of the hammer. So we will toss that again next to our unreadable books for the moment. collect our FET. And come back here. Okay, we don't have a piece of soul to give it. But we do have a memory. We can throw it. We can throw it the memory solace, which will get us to 8 heart. And dawn is just about to break. I paused at exactly the right time, so we can keep one of these to the next day. We will keep the savage hymn because it is useful. It is probably the more useful out of those. And we have plenty of things that can get us winter, but not so much scale. And we have one of the more powerful weathers today. We have fog, coastal fog, moon-mared, sea dulling. Gives us 3 knock and 3 moon. So if we wanted to read a knock or a moon book, today is the day for that. So we might be able... No, I don't think we can get to 8. I don't think we can get to 14. We might be able to get... Well, I doubt it. Let's see, what do we have as far as moon goes here? Well, Rhyme and Remembrance gives us 3. This would give us 6. Trist would give us 7. Not sure where we'd get the other. Well, we could get 2 from a Confounding Parables. That would bring us to 9. Still not enough to get us to 12. I could almost swear we had a knock book somewhere. I'll have to look around and see. But for now, we'll let this book get finished reading. Oh no, oh no. The day ticked over before the memory was applied. Well, that's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate for us. So we're going to have to try and read the Flayed Tantra again tomorrow. And... Nope, I can't add my core. Well, and there we see that sometimes things can be working your way, and the timer just runs out at exactly the wrong time. Another few seconds and it would have locked in that memory. And unfortunately, my core has now been maladied. My core has been compromised by a possessing presence from the mansus behind the world. Quite a pleasant possessing presence, but it makes it hard to concentrate. A defeat where heart is present makes core vulnerable to Duindrasi. As my concentration lapses, I begin to hear a distant music like the tapping of a drum. My core has a malady. Core, Duindratic. Duindrasi is a kind of distraction, or of inspiration, or of possession. In the wind, in the sea, in the crackle of flames, there's a music only I can hear, and when I give it too much attention, the world grows red as a rose. So normally people would probably think, oh, that's bad because it does reduce my core down to being 1 heart instead of being 2 heart and a grail. However, what it does do is that it allows me to reuse this piece of soul as many times as I want per day. It will no longer be exhausted by using it for something. So it does have its upsides and its downsides. If I wanted to cure it, I would need to use moth. This malady can be cured with bed rest, something suitable to drink, and this much moth aspect to distract the possessing presence. Well, just because we're curious, let's see what we have that would actually give us moth. We have Trist, which would give us 2. We have Edicts Liminal, Transformations and Liberations, and Rites of the Roots. Edicts Liminal gives us 2, so that would be 4. We would just need 1 more, which we could get from a Midnight Mark. Or we have, if even make it even simpler, we have that bottle of Where did I put it? We have that bottle of skin shuck mead that I can use that would also be very useful. That would be useful just by itself to clear that. Oh, and we forgot to come and look up at this room when it was cleared earlier. So this is the Motley Tower Illopolys Nook. Christopher Illopoli, poet, painter, archivist, ruiner of seances, stayed on for a while at Hush House after the Great War. The librarian, Serena Blackwood, arranged rooms for Illopoli in the Motley Tower, ostensibly so he could help with the collection, but perhaps also because she saw a potential ally against the governor of the Kirkubit. Relations between the Kirkubit and the house were badly strained at the time. We have 3 more Curia books and 3 more Nocturnal books. We have a bottle of holiest hemolymph. Thyrza Blake claims she first synthesized this from her own tears. She was almost certainly lying. A jar of perhibate, which binds to the one whose name is there written, a minor ink of power. It could be useful for us because it gives us 2 heart, 2 lantern, 2 scale, and 1 piece of winter. Twilight Pot, a stylized bat grimaces gleefully on its surface. An urn of ashes, some poor soul who probably won't mind if they're repurposed for a worthy experiment. I probably wouldn't. 3 winter, and it is remains. This is how you know who was mortal. And a red lotus vase, a red glazed Shinnoseri vase, which gives us some grail and some heart. We've also found a vase of rushes, a russet couch, another bust, which we can put into our lineup later, the Fraser Strathcoyne. This bust is shaped from beeswax. Be careful with it. An elegant sunburst lamp, a comfort that gives us 3 lanterns, so this will make it much, much easier to read lantern books now because we have a good source of lantern to use when it asks for an item, or actually when it asks for a comfort. We also have several pieces of artwork here. To Hear Those Voices, a Levinson prefigure, a copy of a painting that would not be committed to canvas by the real artist for 20 years. 2 Moon and Nectar. Sedona, Not Yet, one of Dr. Levinson's prefigures, an impossible copy of a painting that the real artist hadn't yet executed. He signed it with the illumination mark and dated it 1958. Now we should remember this is taking place in 1936, and this house has been abandoned for at least 7 years, so that painting is at least 20 years ahead of its time. Again, At Night, another prefigure, a close and impossible copy of a painting made 20 years later by Kirchner, whose work Levinson often anticipated in his mirror dreams. To Be Fruitful, it's a decent copy of a Picasso, painted 20 years before Picasso painted the original. Brian Levinson up to his tricks again. Love in a Quiet Place, one of Dr. Levinson's prefigures, a close and impossible copy of a painting made 20 years later by Kirchner. And Red Blue, decent copy of a Picasso painted 20 years before Picasso painted the original. Brian Levinson up to his tricks again. And we have a barber's chair. No one emerges unchanged from a barber's chair. Perhaps they'll just be a little bit more beautiful. Allows us to do things with Heart, Grail, and Moth. Has 2 slots for Regret, which allows us to put an element of the soul in, and Recall, which allows us to add a memory. It also has something we have not yet seen, which is Evolve via Preservation. I can use Preservation with this to evolve my soul. Once you've committed a skill to the Preservation wisdom, you can use that skill with this to combine 2 identical soul cards into a greater one. But you must use a skill you've attuned to that wisdom, and the attunement will work only once. So once we assign something to our skill web here, it will give us another soul card, and then we can use a matching, so Preservation. If we were to assign something to Preservation, we could use that and whatever 2 copies of the soul card at the barber's chair to make it into a second tier soul card. But for right now, that is not something we need to concern ourselves with. Anyway, as I was saying, where did I put that bottle of skin shuck mead? It's around, that's around somewhere. I don't think we used it for anything. Did I put it over here in the keeper's? Yes, I did. No? Oh, that's right. I put it in the window nook there. Yep, so I could use the skin shuck mead to clear my Duendratic's core, but for right now, the core is actually going to be helpful to us because we can use it to do various things over the day. But I think for now, that is probably going to be the point at which we are going to take a break. So I'll go ahead and get this started with cataloging a new book, just to demonstrate that yes, you can use it to do things. So if I examine this, I might learn more what it contained. Book from around the end of the first millennium. So we'll get that started to remind us that we have that going later. And I think we will call it a day at that point. Thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed what you've been watching, please leave a like or a comment and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you later.